Good day, everyone. Welcome to Travel, Explore, Celebrate Life. A lot of things happened in December, which also included me getting married. So, we took a brief break on Travel, Explore, Celebrate Life, but we are back. A very happy new year to you and your loved ones. And what great way to start the year than with an episode on just the bucket list that we have for 2022. What we decided was I pick five places, Sunila picks five places. Neither of us knows what the five places are, but at the same time we felt that with Omicron spreading its wings again, we decided India is the place to be. India is where we want to travel in 2022, and there are a lot of people traveling with Bina World right now, so we decided why not have our first episode of 2022 and also the 48th episode of Travel, Explore, Celebrate Life, just discussing bucket list 2022. Sunila, welcome to the show again. Let's start with you. What's first on your bucket list? And it's good to have you back.
Hi, Neil, and hello, everyone. And Neil, congratulations. Of course, it was a really fun December. Thanks to you and Heta, and we all had a lot of fun. But like you said, let's kick off the year with our bucket list. And I'm really curious to see, Neil, whether we match somewhere, whether anything on your bucket list and my list is the same. Let's see what that happens. But I thought, and you're absolutely right. It's good to keep a bucket list for India. Of course, we'd love to travel around the world. I was supposed to be in Finland in January, but with Omicron spreading its wings, we've had to push that a little forward. So yes, Finland, I will be there hopefully by summer. But however, I thought let's have a bucket list that is really possible, doable, and that's why five places in the year. And as I was thinking about it, I thought if I really put a date to each destination, maybe I'll really do it as well. But let's start. The first thing on my list, Neil, is something in Himachal Pradesh. I've been waiting to visit it for really long. I mean, we all speak of Manali and Shimla and everything, but a place I'd really love to try and go is in the Kangra Valley, and that is Palampur. And the best part of Palampur is like absolutely beautiful, stunning landscapes. You have snow-clad mountains, rivers, green hills, valleys, everything that you would want in a mountain area. And the best part is Beer Billing, the adventurous, the home of paragliding is right close to it. So you can combine with Palampur. My thought was if I go there, I'd love to go and experience some paragliding in Beer Billing, and also not too far off. So if I really want to make like a whole trip out of it, time dependent, and if I have the time, is to also add Pragpur, which is just 3 hours away. And Pragpur is this heritage village of India, which has an amazing old town colonial charm to it. We think it was named after Prague, but it was actually for the Princess Prague Day. And Prague also means pollen in Sanskrit. So, it's full of flowers and a very beautiful area. So, Pragpur, Palampur, Birbilling, that is exactly where I want to be. And in Palampur, there's a lot of artist community. So, Andretta pottery is something that is quite famous as well. So, I thought if not everything, maybe only Palampur, but if I can, then definitely Pragpur, Palampur, and Birbilling is definitely the first thing on my list. So I would love to start with the mountains. What about you, Neil?
Because you started with Himachal Pradesh, I think I'll also bring one of the five from my list. And, like when it came to 2022, I decided that I wanted to actually go back to Shimla. Now, the
Okay.
great Wildflower Hotel is in Shimla. And,
Yes.
we've been there before. I want to go there again with Heta. And everyone keeps asking me, Neil, where are you going for your honeymoon? Where are you going for your honeymoon? And, I did 2 days in Jodhpur just after the wedding, but that was more with friends after, like, we did a Frenny moon sort of thing where, a few of our friends had come down from the US and we decided to travel with them. But I decided Shimla because one, it's the Wildflower Hotel, which has the great small jacuzzi outside. So it's hot water, the weather's cold, it's quite nice. And, you know, Shimla has been the summer capital of British India back then, right? And it has a lot of history attached to it. So one of the reasons why I wanted to go to Shimla was to visit the Viceregal Lodge again. We'll probably do an episode on the Viceregal Lodge later on in the year, but the Viceregal Lodge has a lot to do with how India got its independence, how India and Pakistan, the partition happened, who were the main players in ensuring that the partition happened, what was the agenda put forth by our politicians, our freedom fighters, and a lot of history. And over a period of time, I've been reading and listening to a few more podcasts. I quite like this podcast called The Seen and the Unseen by Amit Verma, and he recently had someone on the episode who spoke about history and the Maharajas of India, and I've been reading a few books. So Shimla for the Viceregal Lodge, for the Mall Road and having those delicious momos in the cold weather, and also there are a lot of treks, and I would like to do a fair few treks this year, and that's why Shimla has been on my list. So, well, I quite like that I've gone for a very mainstream location such as Shimla, whereas you went for for an offbeat thing. So I'm glad that we'll probably have these things coming on. So what's number 2 on your list?
Neil, so the next one on my list really is a city. And, as much as I love the mountains, I think sometimes it's really nice to get into a city as well, see the culture, see things. And the best part of India is you are completely transported into a different world when you go to a different city. This is one place that actually my friend Shilpa and me have been really planning for the last 3 years, but we've not made it. So I think this year we have to get there. And this place is Lucknow, and there are many reasons to visit there. Of course, shopping is on top of the list because the chicken curry work that comes from Lucknow is so famous. And we everybody loves shopping, at least the women do. So shopping is of course top of my list when I go there, but also the food, because the Awadhi cuisine is so flavorful and so lovingly cooked. Like they say, good things take a time, and we've done a few different episodes on food, and we've mentioned different types of cuisine that you see there. So I think it's time to go and really see the kebabs and the things that are made there. And actually the winter might be a great time to go there, because the foods like kebab and other things are amazing in winter, right? But two more things that I would really like to see in Lucknow, of course, is the Rumi Darwaza and the Imam Bara. And the Rumi Darwaza, I think just the inspiration for it, that it was inspired by something from Istanbul, and it's named after Rome. So Rumi actually means Rome, because at that point everything was about Rome and the Eastern Roman Empire, and that's how it is called. So it looks so magnificent, like lit up, illuminated, even otherwise. And I've been reading about Bara Imam Bara, and the Bara Imam Bara, actually the Bara Imam Bara, of course, it's a beautiful place. There's a step well, there's a mausoleum, there are rooms. But what is amazing is the incredible maze, like the Bhul Bhulaiya on top. And they say that there are more than 1,000 ways, 1,024 ways to get inside, but only two to come out. So imagine a building that is built with a maze on the top floor. So that's again something I think has been not brought to light so much. I think more people should visit it, because it's an excellent example of Mughal architecture, and later what came to be known as the Awadhi architecture. So I think it's a good mix, a little bit of sightseeing in the day, a little bit of shopping, and a little bit of food. And I think it's a great place to go and enjoy with friends as well. So Lucknow is definitely on my list. And maybe it'll be nice to listen to the language as well, because it's spoken in the pure form. And we'll all learn a little bit of excellent Hindi and come back, I think, from Lucknow.
So the Lucknowi tunde kebab is
Mhm.
something that like people go there for, right? And one of my
Yeah.
friends, Anush, he went there and he told me, like, he described it that there is the roti which
Mm.
gets the mince of the tunde kebab, and the mince is just like, it's a very thin layer of the tunde kebab that is on the roti. Then it is rolled and given to you if you're taking it in that roti. And the way he described it was just incredible. It made
Yeah.
me feel like wanting to go to Lucknow. But number 2 on my list, moving on to Rajasthan, because
Mhm.
Rajasthan, there has to be one thing on, like, from Rajasthan, and I've been to
True.
Jodhpur a lot of times now. I was there last week. I decided that I should really visit Jaisalmer.
Mhm.
And why Jaisalmer? Because I did visit Jodhpur 2 times last year. And of course, Mehrangarh is one of the best forts that you'll ever visit in India. But something unique about Jaisalmer fort, Jaisalmer known as the Golden City, right? Because everything's yellow,
Yes.
everything's golden. One of the best things about Jaisalmer fort is that it is one of the only forts that has people living at the fort. Like
Yeah.
atop the fort, you'll have people living, and that was something that was incredible. I visited Jaisalmer fort, I think in 2015 or 16, but a trip there is something that I always have wanted to do again. But one of the things that has stopped me is that the flight to Jaisalmer is direct, but there's only one flight. And if SpiceJet cancels that flight, then we are stranded. And I don't want to take a stop and go there. So that has been on the list. Now, with Jaisalmer Fort, there is also the Jaisalmer War Museum. I think that sense of patriotism, that feeling of like, oh, this is India, our army, our air force, our navy, they're doing a great job, is actually seen at this Jaisalmer War Museum. So that is also something that I quite like. And the other thing is that the fort is quite lit up at night. So from Jaisalmer city, you can sit at any of the rooftops and just sit there and admire the fort. And that has been something that I have really wanted to do. So Jaisalmer has been on my list, and that's why that's number 2 on my list. What's number 3 on yours?
And Neil, I think that's a great idea because Jaisalmer is amazing and you're so close to the border. Like
Yeah.
not many of us really think of it, but we are really close to the border and you can feel the presence of the army in
Yeah,
Jaisalmer.
the
But
fighter jets keep
yes, all
yeah.
the time. And I remember I had been there during college times and walking in the night, and you could even at that time see the Jawans and see the army around. And it's a beautiful feeling. They have these big kadhais in which they make this masala milk that in the cold is simply amazing. So it's almost like a sweetened milk with a lot of dry fruits and stuff in it. And that was something I still remember enjoying. And while in Jaisalmer, I think you should check out Suryagarh. It is an amazing property. And if possible, and those who can should do the Chudail trail that takes you to the ghost town of Kuldhara. So that's something you can think of when you go to
So
Jaisalmer for
let's
sure.
pause a minute. The story of Kuldhara is also quite interesting, right? Like the village chief decided to
Yeah,
come down and tell one of the houses that I'm going to come and take your daughter away the next day. And then the
yeah,
next day, the entire town had disappeared. No one knows where they
yes,
went. And it is said that after 6 p.m. in the evening or 6 p.m., the entire town comes to life, and that's why they
yeah.
get everyone out. So it is the ghost town. I don't know, like I don't like horror movies. I'm scared of ghosts, so I would probably not want to do that. But yeah,
I think it's more like the locals really respect the people, and it's a way to pay tribute to them, and that is why you have that. But it's quite a fascinating and interesting story at the same time. So my next on my list, Neil, is again is something completely on the opposite side of the country in the east, and that is Meghalaya. I've been really wanting to go there simply for its lush greenery. I mean, I enjoy my time in greenery, and I think nothing beats Meghalaya when it comes to greenery and its natural beauty. Another reason, I mean, simply because I really love flowers, and Meghalaya is famous for its orchids. So I heard that there are more than 325 varieties of orchids, and they're really quite big. So fruits, spices, orchids, all those things are there. Of course, there are other reasons to go, and one of the reasons is I saw a documentary on the Khasi tribes and the way they build these living root bridges. So I mean, it's like humans at its best without destroying nature but using it to your advantage. And when the Meghalaya is green, and it also has a lot of rainfall, so Cherrapunji is the place where you have the most rainfall in the world. So obviously there's a lot of rain. When there's a lot of rain, then a lot of the rivers are overflowing, and people had to find a way to get across this river and shorten their time, and they actually built bridges out of the roots of these trees. And yeah, the Khasi tribes learned to do that, and that itself is amazing because in some places there are like double decker root bridges as well. So I find that amazing. And of course, if you get there in a good weather, in good time, then like Umgot river, it's if you've seen photos of that, you would want to go there right this minute because it looks like you're floating in air. The river bed is so clear that you can see the riverbed right down, like it's crystal clear waters, and you can take a boat ride on top of that. So I think that's reason enough for me to get there, and hopefully this year I will definitely go. So Umgot, Shillong, that is also so pretty. So that is like the Scotland of the East, like they say. So there is not one place in Meghalaya, I think, that I would want to miss. And of course, try and put in a bit of hiking here and there, food, everything. So for me, Meghalaya definitely is something that I want to get to this year.
is the water that clear? Because I've seen a lot of photos of that where there's just a boat floating and then it doesn't seem like water.
Yes, Neil, that's what they say, that the water is really that clear. And I think it's up to us to really preserve it that way. Of course, with the water, I think, and I've seen that happen in Switzerland as well. It really depends on the weather. If you have clear sun, then the water is obviously, you have those amazing photos that you see on Instagram. But if it is cloudy weather, then that is reflected in the color of the water, right? So then the water doesn't appear that clear as well. So I think the best way to do that is to at least keep more than one day in that place. So rather than just visiting it on one day and coming back, but to really enjoy that beauty, if you stay there for 2 3 nights and stretch your holiday a little, 100% you'll get at least the good sun on one day, right? So you'll be lucky and you'll be able to see clear water at least on one day out of the time that you're there. But yes, I would love to go and check it out and come back and tell you how clear the water is.
All right, let's come to the next one on
Mhm.
my list. Well, close to that, I decided that Rishikesh should be on
Mhm.
my list. Now, there are multiple reasons. One is that there is an adventurous side to Rishikesh in the whitewater
Yeah.
rafting that you can do. And you often have grade 4 or sometimes 5. There's one rapid which is grade 5 rapids, and they often don't take that because it can get quite dangerous. And for like beginners like us who've never done river rafting, or who have only done it a couple of times in our lives, it can get difficult. But jumping into the Ganga and just like, having a small swim, it just gives you a sense of zen, and I quite like that. So that is one thing about Rishikesh that I really like. The other thing, and I don't know, like I'm not very spiritual in that sense, but the Triveni Ghat Ganga Aarti, we've been
Mhm.
there, Sunila, we've been there together.
Yeah.
Like in the evening when it starts, it just gives you a different, like for those 15 minutes you don't think about all of your other world stresses or anything else. You just concentrate on that arti, and that is something where, you know like I think it just it puts me into this zen mode, and I quite like that. For listeners and viewers, there's one tip that we'd have for you, that Rishikesh actually has two aartis that happen. One is the aarti that happens at Triveni Ghat, and the other is the aarti that happens at the Parmarth Ashram, if I'm not wrong. The
Yes.
both the aartis are quite different, and my suggestion would be go to the Triveni Ghat aarti, because I've attended both of them. Both of the aartis are incredible. They have their like own reasons why you should go, but I felt like the Triveni Ghat Aarti was more so like it touches your soul, touches your senses or something like that,
Yeah,
right?
Neil, and I think there's a reason for that, right? It feels more personal at Triveni Ghat. I mean, at the Parmat Ashram, it is it's nice for somebody who wants to see something that is completely managed really well. And you have the students of the ashram coming and reciting the Aarti. Whereas at the Triveni Ghat, it felt like we actually did the Aarti there. And I think you made a good point there, because it's not so much about religion, but more about spirituality. Because I think for me, I love the Ganga Aarti, and I have done it everywhere that I've gone. The very thought that we are praying to the river and thanking nature back for filling our life with so much of water, which is the source of life. I think it's just amazing to think that we are praying actually to a river, something we can see, and not so many deities which we have to imagine. So I think the Ganga Aarti is something nobody should miss. But yes, adventure in Rishikesh is amazing. So that's a good point there.
And then, like, if I'm there, like, I'll probably also think about going to Ananda Spa. So that could
Yes.
be on the list, but it need not be the only place you stay at, because now there's a Taj in Rishikesh also, and there are many like 10 stays like by
Yeah.
the river. So that is also quite cool. So that's why Rishikesh was on my list. What's next on yours?
And Neil, in Rishikesh, I mean, I don't think you're a Beatles fan, but anyone who's a Beatles fan, I mean, I couldn't resist it. It's called as the Beatles Ashram, and I mean, it's okay. It was a nice trip to go there and even look at all the paintings on the walls, and to think that the Beatles were actually here. So for me, that was something I would never miss being there. But yes, that's a good place. So next on my list is again, something a little similar to what you said now, because adventure and trekking, and I would really love to do a trek. And I'm going to go to the state of Kashmir, but not to Srinagar or Gulmarg. I would love to go to Pahalgam. And there's a reason, because the last time I visited Pahalgam, I only got to be there for 2 nights, and I think that is not doing justice to a place like Pahalgam. So I want to go back there and maybe spend a week out there, like at least a week by the beautiful Lider Valley. I mean, the Lider River that flows through there, 73 kilometers of a glacial river with its beautiful milky white waters, the beautiful riverbed. And the last time we had someone visit there, we actually set up this private picnic for them by the river. So they went in, they had a trek, and they trekked all day. They came back, and as a surprise, it was their birthday. We set up this beautiful, riverside picnic with some nice kahwa tea and the Kashmiri tea. So I think I would love to experience that myself. And I think the best part is if you stay in Pahalgam, you'll have something to do every day. Like I would like to go and see, what was known as the Betab Valley. I don't think many people really remember the movie anymore, but the valley is really beautiful, and that is where it was shot. So that's something I can, I'd love to go and visit the Avantipur temple out there, the golf course, there are so many things, like even maybe a little bit of horse riding. But I think if not a long extended trek, at least a daily trek, and to even do nothing but just to be by the riverside, to have a meal by the riverside, walk around and experience the natural beauty. So for me, Pahalgam is definitely next on my list.
There's just something else about the north of India, right? Like, because
Mhm.
we live in Mumbai, the weather's generally very hot, and right now it's cooler, but then with it being cooler, the pollution also increases, and then you don't
Yeah.
enjoy that as much. That's why the north just gives you that sense of feeling where you just feel different for a few days, and that's beautiful. And because you mentioned Pahalgam, I also have one place, that is Srinagar. And
Mm.
Srinagar has been on my list for a long time, not because like, of course, there are many ways that you can describe Srinagar, but I just, like, if you've noticed that I spoke about Shimla, I spoke about Rishikesh, I spoke about Jaisalmer. These are many mainstream destinations,
Yeah.
but these are destinations that you can go back to, and once you have, like, figured out a city, you can explore it even more.
Yeah.
So often people go to Dal Lake, people go to Charchinar, people um enjoy Srinagar and the what must do things that are there. But what I really experienced the last time I was in Srinagar was Srinagar has many small restaurants and cafes,
Yeah.
and you can just go sit there, like, and just enjoy the view that they may have, or just like enjoy the cup of coffee or cup of tea or the kava that you get in Kashmir. So Srinagar was on my list. Now, there are multiple places that you can stay at in Srinagar, right? There are many hotels that are just by the lake. You can stay in a houseboat, but my preference would be that if you're staying in a houseboat, you'd probably stay for a day, like how most of our Veena World trips have
Yeah.
a day at Dal Lake or Nagin Lake, and then there are hotels where you can stay. So Srinagar was on my list, and if I'm going to Srinagar, and if I do plan to go in the winter, that is probably this month or next month, or at the end of the year, then I may also make a trip to Gulmarg because I like skiing.
Mm.
And Gulmarg is well, I went to Auli, which is 9 hours from or 8 hours from Rishikesh, and it is known as the winter capital of India, the ski capital of India. But
Yeah.
I think Gulmarg more so is the ski capital where you can learn how to ski. You can probably learn how to snowboard also. And in India, because we don't have many mountains in Mumbai or the south of India, many of us don't get introduced to winter sports as kids, right? So if you really want to learn how to ski, then I think Gulmarg is a place that you should really go to. So
Yeah, Neil, and it's so close to the airport. I mean, Srinagar airport is just an hour and a half away. It's not that far from Gulmarg, maximum 2 hours. So, I think like you mentioned, Auli is a good 9 hours away, but you can get to Gulmarg so quickly, and it's just so pretty. It's so pretty. So I think both of us are going to be sipping some kahwa tea this year for different reasons. But yeah, Srinagar, if you do manage to, another reason to go, of course, is the tulips, and we will be seeing them soon. So after the winter, during April or so, it would be the best time to go and see the tulips in Srinagar as well. And I think that brings us to the, if I'm not wrong, the last one on our list, right? So
yes.
the last one on my list, Neil, from one end to the other, like they say, as they say a lot of times, and even in songs, Kashmir say Kanyakumari, and really Kanyakumari is the last on my list because I want to go there and experience and stand on the southernmost tip of India and be able to see sunrise and sunset in the same place. I mean, just the thought itself is amazing that you can go in and do that. So Kanyakumari beach with its beautiful view, and to be there, to be on the beach, to be able to see the sunrise. So I would love to stay in Kanyakumari and not do it as a day trip. And then, of course, also see the sunset. And then Kanyakumari is the place for, of course, for Vivekananda, the Vivekananda Rock Memorial. And somehow in all these years I've missed out on that. I haven't even had a chance to go there even once. And they say that Swami Vivekananda attained enlightenment here. So that itself for me makes it a very pious place that I would love to visit and meditate in the Dhyan Mandapa, maybe, the meditation hall. And I think there's just something about Kanyakumari, right? There is a lot of spirituality, a lot of amazing things out there. So you have the imposing statue of the Tamil literary legend there, like Thiruvalluvar. And that is also amazing to see, that 133 feet tall statue representing his books. So there is just so much enlightenment overall in Kanyakumari. And then you have the Bharat Mata temple. That also sounds interesting with its whole depiction of the Ramayana. And actually, I think it's probably the only place where you see a statue of Bharat Mata. So all of that makes Kanyakumari very, very, very interesting for me. And then, just the thought that I've been to the northernmost state of India, and then to come to the southernmost tip there. And like I mentioned sometime back, I was in Pondicherry, and for me to be able to see the sunrise and the sunset on the opposite side as we are used to, like sun setting on the east, was something very different. Whereas in Kanyakumari, you'll actually get to see the whole curve, like from the sunrise to sunset. So hopefully after Kashmir, I will get to Kanyakumari for sure this year. And a lot has changed. There are many more places to stay, many more things to do out there. There is also a lot of shopping out there, and a lot of arts and crafts, like the actual arts and crafts that comes from the original sources that you can, indulge in. So I think that would be a great stay as well.
I think something that, well, COVID ensured, of course, it halted travel in 2020, but a lot of us started traveling within India, which has one given a push for more hotels to come, more places to stay, places to eat at, and more sightseeing places. Because I've noticed that many places of interest, that could be forts, that could be monuments, that could be temples, that could be mosques, have now started, like, upgrading themselves so as to attract the visitor, because they've realized that, India has so much. People have also realized, and people are doing multiple trips, and we are seeing that because there are like thousands and thousands of people have traveled with Veena World also over the year, right? And we are seeing that. So coming to the last one on the list, and this is actually the season for that, are the Andaman Nicobar Islands. And I actually have this on my list because I want to get back into scuba diving. Scuba diving, like for the people who are just new to scuba diving, if you go to Andaman and tell them I want to scuba dive, they will make you do something called Discover Scuba. Discover Scuba is they take you down 12 meters and that's it. But if you want to really see the marine life, you should get a PADI license. PADI is an organization that is like a worldwide organization, a universal organization that gives you a scuba diving license. It's like a driving license, but it teaches you different techniques, things to do while you're scuba diving. So 12 meters, say you go 18 meters when you get your first license. And I have that license, but my last scuba dive was in Oman in 2015 or 2016. So I want to get back into scuba diving, and my wife Heta also really likes scuba diving. So that's something that we have on our list, and that's why Andaman more so. So if there's Port Blair, then you like take the cruise to Havelock, and you can either scuba dive with Barefoot or Dive India or any of the other providers that are there. That is on the list. And also Andaman has this like beachy vibe anywhere you go, and there are so many beaches that you can just go and outside of India and search. Often we go outside of India, and search for hotels where you're looking for like private beaches and everything, but Andaman gives you these beaches, and that is something that is incredible, and that's why Andaman was on my list. So there you go, Sunila. Those were my 5 and those were your 5. Which one is going to be first on the list?
So I've been thinking about it, Neil, and I think maybe Lucknow is something that I might travel first. I mean, other than the list, I'll probably just end up going to Goa once or twice because, I mean, Goa doesn't even have to be on the list, right? You can get there whenever you want. But I think from this list, I'll probably go to Lucknow the first. So let's get planning on that one out there. And what about you? It's funny, right? We had a few states that we shared, but different places to go to. And I really, because I've been to a lot of the other places many times, my whole idea was to try and discover something new, something which I haven't seen before. So I think other than Pahalgam, all the other four places are, destinations that I've not seen in India as yet. So I'll definitely get cracking on that one now soon.
So that's it, Sunila. Like, this was the first episode of 2022, 48th episode that we've done together. And I think in 2021, one thing that I liked is that we started podcasting. We started
Yes.
Travel, Explore, Celebrate Life. We have Chalo Bag Baro Nikal Pado,
Mm.
which is our Hindi podcast. We have Travel Katta, which is our Marathi podcast. And we have 5-minute travel tips that I come and give on every Monday or Tuesday. So 4 podcasts. Hopefully this year we multiply that and reach 8 podcasts. Of course, a lot has been coming in. So listeners and viewers, again, like, it's both of us wishing you a very happy new year. Thank you so much for all of your support, and we will keep coming back with interesting episodes from now on. So keep tuning in, keep listening, and like we always say at Veena World, chalo bag baro nikal pado, because 2022 is definitely the year of traveling. Thanks, Sunila. Have a good day, and we will see all of you next week.
Thank you. Happy New Year.